The Hoover Power Play. The Emergency. Hello, I'm hgtudor. What is a Hoover? Some people are not familiar with this. I'm not talking about the branded cleaning device, but in actual fact, a word that has been drawn into the universe of the narcissist and is used to describe an action by a narcissist. Many people think, in the context of the narcissistic dynamic, of the Hoover being something whereby the narcissist seeks to draw somebody back into a relationship, hoovering them back in. That is but one application of it. There are lots of different Hoovers. They can take place during seduction. They can occur in the ongoing dynamic, hoovering somebody off the shelf. They're more commonly recognised where the relationship has ended and the narcissist reappears thereafter. In some respects, the narcissist will apply what's known as the initial Grand Hoover, where through a blitzkrieg manoeuvre, they attempt to try and draw that individual back into the relationship. But there are also follow-up Hoovers, benign and malign, which may not be designed to resurrect the relationship, but they're designed, of course, to pursue fuel, to pursue control. So that when an individual comes up on the radar of the narcissist, there is a Hoover trigger. The narcissism deems that that individual is not under control, but that the stage is set for there to be a direct assertion of control, and thus a Hoover takes place. Hoovers come in lots of different shapes and sizes, different forms and different guises, and it's very important for you to be able to recognize them. One type of Hoover is the Hoover power play, and this is used by the narcissist following the demise of a relationship, usually that of intimate partner primary source, but can be used in relation to non-intimate secondary sources, friends and family, and intimate partner secondary sources. The purpose of the power play Hoover is for the narcissist to utilize a particular form of Hoover in a way which is designed to bring that person back into the relationship. And these power plays are commonly used by narcissists. Not all narcissists will use them, but they're used by different narcissists. Some narcissists won't use particular types, others are more often used by narcissists across the board. But the point is to familiarize you with the type of power play so that you are able to know what they look like, so that you can be alert to them and maintain your resistance. Naturally, if you don't know what they look like, you're going to be more susceptible to being hoovered. Power plays are particularly effective because the fact that you know about it demonstrates that already your no-contact regime has been breached, because you're contemplating the effect of the Hoover. You've seen it. Furthermore, the design of a power play Hoover is such that it caters to your empathic instincts and often proves much harder for you to resist. Thirdly, its timing tends to be not long after the demise of the relationship, which means that you have been in one or more of the 5 arenas of interaction regularly, and as an empathic victim with an addiction to the narcissist, your emotional thinking will be much higher, meaning you're far more likely to be conned by the Hoover than see it for what it is and understand what it means. Power plays can be conveyed to you in many different forms. It might be in a telephone call, or a message, a text message, a note, something that comes through a third party, for instance by proxy or an email. The greatest effectiveness occurs where the narcissist is dealing with you face to face, for that means not only is the narcissist then drawing fuel from you, but the narcissism is able to gauge your responses and make tweaks and adjustments in order to finesse the power play to ensure that you are brought back under control. The fact also that you're dealing direct with the narcissist starts to signal to the narcissism that you are coming under control by virtue of the fact that you've granted the narcissist an audience to begin with. Furthermore, you, as the victim, are more susceptible to a power play Hoover in person, because an in-person interaction is more meaningful for you. Thus, we stand a greater chance of overcoming any resistance that you exhibit and hoovering you back in. That's why your no-contact regime is so important, and why it should be maintained to prevent the opportunity for the narcissist to unleash a power play Hoover against you in the first place, particularly in person. Where somebody has not been able to transplant themselves away from the narcissist as part of trying to draw you back into the relationship, whether as intimate partner, primary source, non-intimate partner, primary source, intimate partner, secondary source, or non-intimate secondary source, seeks to do so that there is the resurrection of that relationship. Thus you come back under control, the narcissist resumes the flow of fuel from you, and there's access to character traits and residual benefits. There are lots of different ways that the narcissist will seek to utilize a power play against you. One of the most common is the emergency. This is a popular method of establishing contact and hoovering you back into the grip of the narcissist. It's popular because it's highly effective. It serves as a method of establishing contact, and then, having got that in, it enables the narcissist to expand on the nature of the emergency once you've allowed the narcissist access. The fact that an emergency occurs gets your attention, often causes the victim to lower their guard. This is why it's so important to ensure that the narcissist can't even convey to you that there is an emergency. If the narcissist can't ring you or text message you or send you an email, if the narcissist can't deal with you personally because you'll walk away every time you see the narcissist or won't open your front door to them, it becomes more difficult for the narcissist to actually convey that there is an emergency. But if you enable a narcissist to send you a text message still, or an email, or that they can get your ear through another person, or that they can shout through the letterbox as to the nature of the problem, then in such circumstances, that makes it easier for them then to draw you in. They have got a foot in the door, sometimes, literally, by telling you there's an emergency. Your empathic traits twitch at the response to that, the desire to heal and fix, your compassion, your caring. And having heard there's an emergency, in effect your emotional thinking will go, tell me more. There's an emergency? Who? In relation to who? What has happened? Find out there's more going on. Thus, if you have a no-contact regime, which means that the narcissist can't actually tell you that there's an emergency to begin with, so much the better. If the narcissist is unable to convey to you that there is an emergency, chances are that your already high emotional thinking will cause you to lower your guard and want to know what the emergency is, even if you don't fully respond to it. And of course, at that point, you're now embarking on a slippery slope, whereby the interaction with the narcissist, by responding to the suggestion that there is an emergency, continues to increase your emotional thinking, make it more likely that you're going to then actually respond to the problem in itself, and thus get drawn back in. It may be the case that the emergency is conveyed to you by a message, because the narcissism recognizes that a personal attendance might not meet with success, that a direct face-to-face involvement is more likely to be rejected by you at the outset because of your resolve. But if a message comes through by text, by email, or conveyed by someone else, you're less likely to be wary because of the arm's length interaction involved with it. But this works to our advantage, because in effect it's like a grappling hook that has been fired against you, that it has been sent so that it gets through, and then you can't help but have your interest piqued by the fact that, what? There's an emergency. Thus, that having happened can then lead to you responding so that you meet up with the narcissist, or that you allow the narcissist to come and pay you a personal attendance. By doing so, it enables the narcissist to gauge how much effort and how much energy would have to be expended in order to rope you back in. The initial message that would be conveyed or sought to be conveyed by the narcissist looks to hook you and is along the lines of, please contact me ASAP, there is an emergency. Please call me as soon as you can. Something awful has happened. We need to talk straight away. Something has happened and you need to know. Notice how the messages are not specific as to the reason why an emergency has arisen. The manipulation of vagueness is being utilized. This is intentional from the narcissism. One of your desire traits is that of truth seeker. You need to know. And therefore the narcissism specifically couches the message in a manner that is not only designed to appeal to your desire to heal and fix, your compassion, but also your need to know. It will also play on your sense of duty. It also plays upon your sense of guilt. What if you were to ignore the message? How would you feel? What repercussions might there be if you don't act upon it? What has happened? And if you do not respond, what could arise from that? There will be different thoughts and combinations running through your mind, along with the rising sensation of guilt, which is created by the battery of feeling generated by your emotional thinking. And thus, with the narcissist having got your attention with the suggestion that there is an emergency, it becomes increasingly difficult for you to escape that by ignoring it. That's why, again, I state that you need to ensure that the message can't reach you in the first place, so in effect, you're not tempted. If you send a message back to the narcissist, thus responding, asking, what is it, what has happened? The narcissist won't initially respond with chapter and verse. But more likely you'll receive a Hoover along the lines of, thanks for getting back to me. I really do need to see you. It's an emergency and it's too complicated to explain in a message. You're already interested because of the way we framed that initial message. We've underlined the fact that there is an emergency and you have responded. Your emotional thinking is rising. Your truth seeker trait is being pulled on. Your desire to heal and fix is being massaged. The narcissist will continue to Hoover you, messages bouncing back and forth in the expectation that you agree to come to us and meet up. The point of this is by meeting up, we have a greater chance to control you, play upon your compassion, your conscience, to draw fuel from you, and to make the relevant plea or manipulation in person. Once the narcissist is in front of you, the narcissist can in effect unveil their superior acting skills as they seek to convince you that some emergency or awful event has actually occurred. There can be 3 potential participants in this emergency. The first, a fictitious friend or relative who has been involved in a car accident, for example, and the narcissist feigns upset at this terrible turn of events and seeks solace on your shoulder. This is something whereby a mid-range narcissist would look to seek sympathy from you, to draw fuel from you by way of your support at the upset of the narcissist as a consequence of this fictitious event, where a complete fabrication is used to make you feel sorry for the narcissist. Invariably, this is not someone that you will have met. What the narcissist wants is for you not to feel sorry for the person that has been involved in the fictitious car crash. No, the focus shouldn't be on them, it needs to be on the narcissist. Therefore, by using someone that you probably haven't heard of, you're more likely to react with sympathy towards the narcissist. And therefore, the narcissist is more likely to receive that fuel and gain control over you. The narcissist will usually lay on how thick about how horrendous the accident was, that the afflicted person has a wife and children, and that the narcissist needs to do something to help them, but they can't think straight at present. The narcissist will probably present themselves as being in some kind of tailspin in order to elicit sympathy from you, the victim. Once the narcissist has grabbed your attention with regard to your sympathy, your caring and your compassion, they will invariably go to great lengths to stay physically proximate to you, suggesting perhaps that they're too upset to function without your support. The longer the narcissist can spend with you, the greater the disruption there is then to your no-contact regime and the greater prospect for the narcissist of hoovering you back in. The narcissist may also segue this with other power plays, for instance, promise to change and apply flattery to draw you in. Having got you there under the auspices of feeling sorry for the narcissist because of the emergency, the narcissist then utilizes further manipulations against you. A second participant will be the use of a lieutenant who has been briefed beforehand. There's every chance that you, as the victim, may well speak to or even go and see this lieutenant, and therefore the emergency is usually some kind of illness or disease that has a grip on that lieutenant, but one which cannot be seen. Accordingly, mental illness, for example, severe depression, can be used, or recent diagnosis of cancer. Again, the narcissist will present as being distraught as a consequence of one of the good friends falling ill and then look to you for support. The use of a lieutenant is more effective as it provides corroboration for the yarn that the narcissist has been spinning towards you. The third participant, of course, is the narcissist himself. Often the narcissist, as part of this emergency, will opt for some unseen yet serious illness, which the narcissist may well have spent some time learning about in order to create authenticity. The narcissist may well concoct a story about the job being on the line, or that they're stressed at work, or they're being bullied. There are various scenarios that the narcissist will have prepared, and thus will readily roll out in front of you with lashings of woe in order to tap into your sympathetic, empathic self. Very few individuals are able to resist the turning on of the waterworks by the mid-range narcissist, or even the explanation of woe that isn't done as a pity play by other narcissists that you cannot help but feel sorry for them, even if that's not what the narcissist is seeking. That you might want to offer practical suggestions and help. That you will say how awful it is for you. Is there anything I can do for you? Can I make you a meal? Do you need any help looking after the children, etc.? Thus, having got the victim's attention through this victim power play, it then becomes the case that the narcissist finds it far easier to unleash further manipulations upon you. That it should enable the narcissist to flatter you, to talk about the future together, that how good it is that you've responded, demonstrating how much they appreciate your involvement. The empathic victim's desire to respond to an emergency is almost instinctive, and the narcissist plays upon this through this particular Hoover power play, tugging at your heartstrings, playing on your compassion and your caring, using the desire to get to the truth as a means to break down your defences and get you hooked, and then draw you in further by then providing you with more information once you've expressed an interest as to what is actually going on, to work your emotional empathy against you, so that the narcissist then enables an audience with you and then turns on the charm, or the flattery, etc., to bring you back into the relationship with them. It's important to be aware of this particular power play, how the narcissist utilises it, and how you are susceptible to it. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.